Welcome to English XYZ, the place where English feels calm, natural, and personal. My friend, if you've ever wished to get comfortable with English, not just understand it, but feel it, you're in exactly the right place. This is your English listening practice podcast, created to help you improve naturally, without pressure, without textbooks, without stress. You can simply relax, close your eyes, maybe sit back in your chair or lie down on your bed, and let English flow through you like music. Today's episode is one of my favorites because it's about something that lives inside every single one of us: our daily routine. We often think our days are ordinary, but when you learn how to talk about them in English, you start to see how beautiful your simple moments really are. I'm your host, Liam, and together, we're going to master the art of describing your day in English. We'll listen, we'll learn, and we'll practice the kind of natural English that people actually use. No heavy grammar, no confusing rules, just real, living English. Let's begin with a simple truth. When people meet for the first time, one of the most natural questions that comes up is, "So what do you usually do?" Or, "How does your typical day go?" It sounds simple, but this question is like a window into your world. Your answer tells people who you are, what kind of life you live, what you care about, and how you manage your time. Being able to answer it naturally with comfort and confidence makes your English conversations flow easily. So, imagine this moment. You're sitting in a cafe. A friendly person asks, "Hey, what do you usually do during the day?" Now, most English learners respond with something short. "I work," or "I study." And technically that's correct, but it's not alive. It doesn't sound like you. What we want today is to go beyond that, to speak in a way that feels real and expressive. We'll listen to examples, explore natural structures, and I'll share with you plenty of phrases you can start using immediately. By the end of this episode, you'll be able to describe your daily routine in clear, confident, and natural English. So take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders. Let's start our journey into real-life English. Let's imagine a day in the life of two people, Emily and me. But this time, I'll tell the story from my own perspective, as if I'm speaking to you like a close friend. Just listen and absorb the rhythm. Every morning, I wake up around 7 a.m. The alarm rings, but I usually stay still for a few seconds, letting the quiet morning light touch my eyes. I stretch, take a deep breath, and remind myself, it's a new day. Then, like many of you, the very first thing I do is coffee. Yes, that first cup of hot coffee is my magic button. I can't really function before it. While it brews, I often check my phone, just a quick look at messages or news. But I try not to dive too deep into it. Once that first sip of coffee hits, my brain starts to wake up. That's when I plan my day. I sit near the window with my small notebook, and I write down 3 things I want to focus on. This helps me feel organized. It's not about perfection. It's about clarity. Around 7:30 a.m., I usually prepare a light breakfast, maybe toast with eggs or yogurt with fruit. Nothing fancy, but enough to give me energy. After breakfast, I go for a run or do a quick home workout. Even when I feel lazy, I try to move my body because it resets my mind. That's when my you morning describe rhythm. your daily routine, Coffee, you usually plan, use breakfast, present movement, simple tense. 4 simple because it's about steps things that make me happen feel regularly. human. Listen And to when you these talk about examples your again. day in English, these I small wake up things are the around heart of 7 your a.m. story. It's not
I make
just
myself
what
a cup
you
of
do,
coffee.
it's
I go for
how
a run.
you do it,
How
I
it
plan my
feels.
day. All
Let's
these
break
verbs,
down the useful
wake
English
up,
from that
make,
small
go,
story.
plan, are in the present simple. We use it for habits, routines, and facts. So whenever you describe what you usually do, that's your base form. Now let's talk about those small but powerful words called adverbs of frequency. Words that tell you how often something happens. They make your English sound natural and clear. Here are the most common ones. Always. 100% of the time. Example: I always start my day with coffee. Usually, most of the time. Example: I usually wake up around 7 sao. Often. Many times. Example: I often go for a run after breakfast. Sometimes under about half the time. Example: sometimes I skip my workout if I'm too tired. Occasionally. Not very often, just once in a while. Example: I occasionally meet friends for breakfast. Rarely. Almost never. Example: I rarely watch TV in the morning. Never. 0%. Example: I never skip my first cup of coffee. See how the feeling changes when you add these words? Without them, you sound mechanical. With them, you sound human. Try saying these aloud with me. I usually wake up early. I sometimes check my phone before breakfast. I never start work without coffee. Good. That rhythm, that natural pattern, is what makes you sound fluent. Now let's listen to Emily's side of the story, because learning from examples helps your brain create real patterns. Emily says, my mornings are usually quite structured. I tend to wake up pretty early, around 6:30 a.m. most weekdays. The first thing I always do is make myself a cup of herbal tea. While the tea is steeping, I spend about 10 minutes doing light stretching just to get my body ready for the day. After that, I sit by the window with my journal and write for about 15 minutes. It helps me feel centered before the busyness starts. Then, around 7:30 a.m., I take my dog Bella for a morning walk. Now pause for a moment and listen to how smooth and natural that sounds. You can feel the rhythm of her routine. Quiet, calm, gentle. She doesn't just list actions, she paints a picture. That's exactly how you should describe your day in English. Don't just say, I wake up, I eat, I go to work. Instead, build a story. Add feeling, small details, natural time phrases like first thing in the morning, after that, then around 8 a.m., later in the day. These transitions connect your sentences and make you sound like a storyteller, not a textbook. Let's go deeper. When you talk about your day, you also talk about time. But you don't have to be exact. You can use approximate time expressions that sound natural in conversation. For example, I wake up around hot 7 a.m. I start work at about 9:30 a.m. I take a break around 3 p.m. I go to bed around 10:30 p.m. Notice the word around. It's small, but it makes your English flexible and relaxed. Native speakers use it all the time. Here are a few more useful time phrases. First thing in the morning. The very first activity you do. Example: first thing in the morning, I brush my teeth. In the early afternoon, around 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Later in the evening, around 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. By midnight. Before 12 a.m., using these makes your English sound authentic. Let's talk about your workday or study routine, because that's another big part of daily life. If you're a student, you can say, I usually start my classes around 9 a.m. I often spend the morning studying or doing homework. I sometimes meet my classmates in the library. I usually take a short break around noon. If you're working, you can say, I start work around 9 a.m. I usually check my emails first. I often have video meetings in the afternoon. I take a short break to grab some tea or coffee. I usually finish work around 5:30 p.m. The verbs start, check, have, take, and finish are the backbone of your day. Use them with adverbs of frequency, and you instantly sound fluent. Listen to this natural example. I usually start work around 9, check my emails, and then dive into my main tasks. I often have 1 or 2 meetings in the early afternoon, so I try to take a short break afterward. Do you hear how natural that feels? The secret is rhythm, using and then, so, afterward. These small connectors make your sentences flow. Here are more useful expressions you can use when talking about your daily routine. Tend to plus verb means you usually do something. Example, I tend to work better in the morning. Can't really function before, without, shows what you need to start your day. Example, I can't really function before my coffee. A bit of a person describes personality casually. Example, I'm a bit of a night owl. I'm a bit of a morning person. Head out, head back. To go somewhere or return. Example, I head out to the park. I head back home after lunch. Grab a quick, to take something quickly. Example, I grab a quick lunch. I grab a cup of coffee. Dive into something, to start doing something with focus. Example, I dive into my project. Tackle something, to deal with a task or problem. Example, I tackle my main tasks in the afternoon. Wind down, unwind, to relax after activity. Example, I usually wind down by reading. Call it a night. Stop working or go to bed. Example, I usually call it a night around 10:30. Try repeating some of those aloud now. Your mouth learns by movement, not just by reading. Now let's create a full day example that you can model your own after. I usually wake up around 7 a.m. The first thing I do is stretch a little and drink a glass of water. Then I make myself a cup of coffee and check the news briefly. After breakfast, I go for a quick jog around my neighborhood. I start work around 9:30 a.m. I usually check my emails and plan my tasks for the day. Around noon, I take a short break for lunch. In the afternoon, I often have online meetings or focus on projects that need deep concentration. I try to finish work around 5:30 p.m. After that, I head out for a short walk to clear my head. In the evening, I cook dinner and sometimes watch a show or read a book. Around 10:30 p.m., I usually call it a night. That's it. A perfect natural description. Simple sentences, clear sequence, a few connectors, and adverbs of frequency. That's all you need for confident conversation. Now I want to talk about something important. Intonation and flow. When you speak English, rhythm is more important than grammar. Native speakers don't think about grammar every time they talk. They think in patterns and sound groups. So, instead of memorizing every rule, focus on speaking like this. I usually wake up around 7 a.m., then I make myself a cup of coffee. Hear the gentle rise and fall? That's natural English music. Try it. I usually wake up around 7 a.m. Then I make myself a cup of coffee. After that, I go for a run. Excellent. Before we continue to the next section, let's reflect for a moment. Why is it important to talk about your day? Because when you describe your daily routine, you're not just practicing English. You're building connection. You're opening small windows into your life, and that's how conversations grow. Imagine meeting someone new. They ask, "So what do you do during the day?" Now, instead of saying, "I work," you say, "Well, I usually start my morning with a jog, then I work from home. I often take short breaks for tea, and in the evenings I like to cook and read." That answer feels alive. It invites the other person to respond. Maybe they'll say, "Oh, you cook? What kind of food do you like?" And just like that, a conversation begins. That's what English XYZ is all about, helping you speak with connection, not perfection. All right, now let's move on to one more perspective, the weekend routine. Because weekends have a slightly different energy. You can say, "On weekends, I usually wake up a bit later. I often meet friends for lunch. I sometimes go hiking or watch movies. I usually spend Sunday evenings preparing for the week ahead." Notice you use the same grammar, present simple, because weekends are also part of your regular pattern. Just change your adverbs or time expressions. Example: during the week I wake up early, but on weekends I usually sleep in a little. I rarely cook breakfast on weekdays, but I often make pancakes on Sunday mornings. Contrast like this makes your English sound dynamic. Let's also practice questions, because you need both sides of conversation. How does your day usually go? What do you usually do in the morning? What time do you usually start work? What do you do after work? How do you usually spend your weekends? These are friendly, natural ways to talk to someone. You can also ask, "Do you ever..." Example: do you ever go for evening walks? Do you ever stay up late watching movies? These questions sound soft and curious, perfect for everyday conversation. Before we finish this part, I want to remind you, your daily routine is more than a schedule. It's your story. When you learn to express it in English, you're not just learning vocabulary. You're learning to share your life. So tonight, before you sleep, try this small exercise. Close your eyes and describe your entire day in English, from waking up to going to bed. Don't worry about mistakes. Just flow. The more you repeat, the more automatic it becomes. Tomorrow you'll notice something special. You'll start thinking small pieces of your day in English. That's the real progress. And if you ever doubt yourself, remember what we say here at English XYZ. Fluency is not about perfection. It's about connection. Stay tuned, because next we'll go even deeper into how to use storytelling phrases and emotional rhythm to make your daily routine sound natural, confident, and alive. Keep listening. Keep growing. This is English XYZ, learning English the comfortable way. Welcome back to English XYZ. I'm your host, And today, we continue our journey of learning how to talk about your daily life in English, not just using words, but through real emotions, natural rhythm, and confidence. In the first part, we explored the morning routine, waking up, brushing your teeth, having breakfast, and heading out for work or school. Now it's time to go deeper, from what you do to how you feel while doing it. Because that's where real fluency begins. When your words start carrying your personality and feelings. Let's move ahead. You've reached your workplace, your office, your college, or your shop, wherever your real day begins. How do you describe that moment in English? You can say, I reached my office around 9 in the morning, or I got to work a bit early today. Both are fine. But if you want your English to sound expressive and natural, you can say, I reached my office early today. The streets were quiet, and I felt peaceful walking under the morning sun. That's what fluent English sounds like, not complicated, but alive. When you add small details, your words start creating pictures. Your language starts breathing. Let's continue. You sit at your desk, open your laptop, and begin your day. How do you describe that naturally? I started my work around 9:30. I checked my emails, replied to a few messages, and made a to-do list for the day. Perfect. But if you want to make it sound more meaningful, you can add feeling. I started my work around 9:30. My inbox was full, but I didn't panic. I made a list, took a deep breath, and decided to finish one thing at a time. Now you've turned a normal sentence into a personal one. And that's the difference between English you memorize and English you live. Let's move to lunchtime. You can say, I had lunch with my colleagues. I ate rice and curry. Simple. But here's how you make it engaging. I had lunch with my colleagues at the office canteen. We laughed a lot and shared stories about our weekend. Or, I had a quick lunch today, just a sandwich and coffee, because I was busy finishing my report. Notice the flow? It's not about using fancy words. It's about using real words naturally. Take a moment right now. Think about your own lunch routine. Where do you eat? What do you eat? Do you eat alone or with friends? Now, form that into your own English paragraph. Here's an example. I usually eat lunch around 1 o'clock. Sometimes I eat with my friends, and sometimes I just listen to music while eating. I love simple food, rice, dal, and vegetables. It makes me feel comfortable. This is fluency. Not complicated grammar, but real thoughts expressed naturally. And when you do this daily, your brain starts thinking in English. Now it's afternoon. You might say, I got back to work. I attended a meeting. I felt sleepy after lunch. And that's completely fine, because that's how real people talk. You can add a little flavor. I tried to stay awake by drinking another cup of coffee. Or, I took a short walk to refresh my mind. If you're a student, you can say, after lunch, I attended my English class. It was interesting, and I learned some new phrases. Here's a small tip. Record yourself for 1 minute every day, describing your day in English. Just 1 minute. No pressure. You don't need to sound perfect. You just need to sound you. That's where fluency grows, in the moments you practice without fear. Now it's evening. You finish work, Close your laptop, leave the office, or come back home from school. How do you talk about this part of the day? I left my office around 6 in the evening. I reached home around 7. I was tired, but happy. To make it sound smoother, try. I finished my work around 6 and took the metro back home. The train was crowded, but I listened to my favorite music, and it made me feel relaxed. Or, when I got home, my kids ran to me with a big hug. That moment always melts my heart. This is real English, the kind that connects. Not just words, but warmth. You can continue. I changed my clothes, took a shower, and had some snacks. I talked to my family about their day. I helped my mother in the kitchen. Make it personal. I helped my mother cook dinner. We talked about old memories, and I felt grateful to be with her. Now you're not just practicing English, you're reliving your life in another language. Dinner time. You can say, I had dinner around 8. I watched TV while eating. I ate roti, sabzi, and rice. Or, a little more expressive, I had dinner with my family. We talked about our day and shared a few jokes. It's my favorite part of the evening because everyone comes together. Fluency is not about perfect grammar. It's about emotional rhythm, words that make people feel something. And now it's time to end the day. You can say, after dinner, I watched a movie. I scrolled through social media. I read a book before sleeping. I went to bed around 11. Or more naturally, I went to bed around 11. The day was long but fulfilling. As I closed my eyes, I felt thankful for everything I did and everyone I met. That's not just English. That's storytelling. Let's try to say a full day paragraph together. I woke up early today around 6:30. The morning was quiet and peaceful. I brushed my teeth, took a shower, and got ready for work. I had a cup of tea and some toast for breakfast. Then I left for the office. The traffic was light, and I enjoyed some good music on the way. I reached my office around 9 and started working. I replied to some emails and attended a short meeting. Around 1 o'clock, I had lunch with my colleagues. We talked and laughed about our weekend plans. After lunch, I felt a bit sleepy, so I took a short walk to stay active. I finished my work around 6 and took the metro back home. I reached home around 7, helped my mother in the kitchen, and had dinner with my family. After dinner, I watched a movie and scrolled through my phone for a while. Finally, I went to bed around 11, feeling happy and peaceful. Perfect. That's how you describe a full day in English, clearly, calmly, and confidently. Now here's your small challenge. Every night before sleeping, talk about your day in English for 1 minute. You don't need a script. You don't need a teacher. You just need your voice. Say things like, today I woke up late. I helped my friend. I missed my bus. I learned a new word. I watched an English video. That's how you grow, step by step, word by word. Remember, fluency isn't about never making mistakes. It's about not being afraid of them. Each mistake is a step forward. Each try makes you stronger. You don't need to sound like a native speaker. You just need to sound like you, honest, confident, and clear. And that's what we do here on English XYZ. We help you find your real voice. So promise yourself this today. You will speak 1 minute of English every day. You won't chase perfection.